Well, tonight, here we go. A battle for the Lone Star State. Former President Donald Trump in Austin, focusing on illegal immigration and the border.
And Vice President Kamala Harris in Houston tonight, focusing on reproductive rights.
Thousands of people could be seen lining up outside of Shell Energy Stadium, home of the Dynamo, where Harris is holding her campaign rally tonight. The heat taking a toll on some of the folks waiting to get inside.
KHOU 11 has team coverage, and we're going to start with Victor Jacobo, who's live at Shell Energy Stadium in Houston, where Kamala Harris is set to speak in just a few hours, with appearances by Beyonce and Willie Nelson. Victor.
Yep, this is the final stretch of this presidential campaign, and Kamala Harris is honing in on her closing message to voters, what she believes will be her most powerful message to sway voters in her favor. That is why tonight here in Houston, she is focusing on reproductive rights. The latest University of Houston polling in Texas shows Harris trailing Trump poll with 51% to 46% among likely voters in Texas. But Harris is hoping to tap into the topic of reproductive rights as a way to motivate voters to cast their ballots for her, not just here in Texas, but around the country. Democrats have had success in recent election cycles in different states following the turning of Roe v. Wade. Harris will be joined by women who have been personally impacted by the state's near total abortion ban. Earlier today in Houston, Harris sharing why she's focusing tonight's event on abortion and reproductive rights.
I do believe it is critically important to acknowledge that this is not just a political debate. This is not just some theoretical concept. Real harm has occurred in our country. A real suffering has occurred. People have died. And it is important to highlight this issue because this is among the most critical issues that the American people will address when they vote for who will be the next president of the United States.
Earlier today, Harris, while spending time here in Houston, also recording a podcast interview with author Brene Brown. Both candidates have been spending time with podcasters in order to spread their message. Now, behind me, this program is set to get going pretty soon with multiple speakers ahead of Harris. She's scheduled to speak sometime around 8:30. I'll send it back to you.
Victor, the presidential race certainly the marquee matchup, but of course the race for U.S. Senate in Texas also being watched nationally. How do those candidates hope to benefit from all of this?
Yeah, that's right. Both of those candidates looking to take advantage of this. Ted Cruz was in Austin with the former president for that event, and Colin Allred is set to join Kamala Harris here at Shell Energy Stadium in Houston. Both of those candidates are locked in a tight race for the U.S. Senate, with control of the Senate at stake. Experts told me that Ted Cruz's seat has been a target for a long time for Democrats, but this is likely their best shot at flipping it because of the turnout brought on by the presidential race and the money flowing in from outside the state. Now, today's events and visits by the presidential candidates only set to build enthusiasm among voters on both sides, and both Cruz and Allred hoping that leads to down ballot boost for their races. Back to you.
Watching it all. Victor Jacobo, thank you.
And Katira Winfrey is outside that stadium where people started lining up last night waiting to get in. Katira, I know the heat has been a problem for some folks this afternoon with record-setting temperatures. How are things right now?
Well, Lynn, things are going really well right now. The line is finally starting to move. I did get a chance to speak to one woman who says when she reserved her ticket, she got a notice that 1 million people had already requested access. Now, we don't know if that's accurate or when the cutoff point will happen as people continue to stroll in. But we do know that this stadium sits about 22,000 people when they have soccer matches. And right now, thousands of people have been streaming in through these lines. And a lot of the people I spoke to said they had to be here to experience this historic moment. Having a black woman on the presidential ballot is something they never thought they'd experience. So waiting in line, no problem. Dealing with the heat, no problem. But the heat did play a factor for some people. HFD did have to respond to multiple heat-related illness calls and even took some people to the hospital. I got a chance, as I mentioned, to speak to quite a few people from all different backgrounds, all age ranges, and for some, this will be their very first time casting a ballot.
Never in my life thought I would very much be voting for a woman, specifically a black woman. And to have that representation just in front of the camera and just going everywhere, meeting with people, talking with people, is just the president that I want and the president that every person in America deserves.
And earlier today, there were some issues with line control. As the line started moving, people started cutting in line, but the people in line actually took hold of it and started to get everything back in order. And I want to say about 15 minutes or so ago, Colin Allred actually just showed up and we heard the crowd start to cheer. So the energy is alive. People are ready to get inside. We're now reporting live, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
Very busy day on the east side. Thank you, Katira. Also today here in Houston, the Harris County Republican Party had a pro-Trump rally. Harris County GOP County Chair Cindy Siegel, State Senator Paul Bettencourt, and Mattress Mac spoke outside of gallery furniture. And right now, former President Donald Trump is recording a podcast episode in Austin with Joe Rogan.
Just a few hours ago, the Republican presidential nominee spoke at a hangar near Austin's airport. Adam Bennett joins us from Southeast Austin. Adam, this was for media and invited guests.
This was an invitation-only event that really resembled a smaller version of one of the former president's trademark rallies. Former President Trump walked into this private hangar at Austin's airport just after 1 this afternoon. The theme of the event was illegal immigration. It's been a major issue that Republicans have been attacking the Biden administration over during this election cycle. Trump focused a lot of his time over the course of about an hour or so talking about crimes committed by migrants and blaming Vice President Kamala Harris. The mother of Jocelyn Nungare, a 12-year-old killed in Houston, spoke. She called for changes to the system. During his speech, Trump promised the largest deportation operation in American history on day one if he is elected.
No choice. We have to get all of these criminals, these murderers, drug dealers and everything. We're getting them out. And we'll put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country, and we'll get them out. Ideally, we want to get them out because we don't want to have to pay for their room and board for the next 50 years, right?
Trump also said he wants 10 years in prison with no parole for anyone caught entering the country illegally after being deported. He also called for an automatic death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen. In the crowd today were several prominent Texas Republicans, including Senator Ted Cruz, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and Attorney General Ken Paxton. Former President Trump did not take any questions from reporters at this event. Reporting from Austin, I'm Adam Bennett.